You are on the next level. This is The Beautiful Truth, where the expression is still free.
20 seconds and counting. 10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour.
And you are very welcome. This is The Beautiful Truth with Fintan Dunne reporting. Thanks for joining me on Wednesday the 10th of June, where we're about to see a protest in Dublin by single parents. They're objecting to government plans to cut their allowance, a special single parent family allowance, which traditionally has been offered in order to counteract the poverty levels which are seen in single parent families. Well, it's being cut under government proposals which are aimed at encouraging, in inverted commas, single parents into work as soon as children have passed the age of 7. Well, the impact of that we'll discuss in just a moment with Ruth Cullen, an activist who is on protest action in Dublin today. But let me give you some comment from One Family, an organisation. You'll find them at onefamily.ie, which looks after the interests of one-parent families. They point out that the Central Statistics Office in Ireland has produced figures showing that those one-parent families have the highest deprivation rate in the nation at 63.2%, and the highest consistent poverty rate at 23%. And those are the very people government plans to cut their benefits. For some detail on how that actually affects real people, we're going to speak with Ruth Cullen. Ruth is an activist for Spark. That's Single Parents Active for the Rights of Our Kids, and aren't they right to be so? And she's on the line right now. And thanks very much, Ruth, for joining us today.
Thank you, Fintan. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a very worthwhile issue that you're raising. Maybe we could get into it just by dealing with one of the people whose lives have been deeply affected by these cuts that you're dealing with at the moment. Would you outline for us what we're going to call the case of Anne, shall we say, not her name, and what's happened to her as a result of these cuts?
I will indeed. Anne is a single parent. She has a teenage son, and her son has learning difficulties. Anne is working 12 and a half hours a week. It's a manual, hard, tough manual job. She also has health problems, but she refuses to apply for disability because she wants to continue with her job that she's been working there for a couple of years now, 4 or 5 years, and she wants to continue with that. But with the upcoming cuts, Anne has been backed into a corner, Fintan, and she has to leave her job. She's going to be down €140 a week. That is a massive drop for any family to endure. So Anne is being moved from lone parents to job seekers payment. And with that, the income disregard is completely different to what would be, with lone parents, the income disregard is €90, and with job seekers, I think it's €20-30. So again, that's a sneaky part of the cut that a lot of people were not aware of.
Right. And the basis for this cut then is it the cut-off of age of the child?
Yes, and the youngest child is 7. 40,000 lone parents will be cut this July.
Well, this particular child, however, as you say, has got learning difficulties.
Yes.
Surely that's being taken into account in consideration?
No, it hasn't. No, the only way a child will be protected is if the parent is in receipt of domiciliary care allowance, and that will be children with severe disabilities that need high support. Children with moderate or mild difficulties will not be supported. It's a one-size-fits-all cut across the board unless you are in receipt of domiciliary care allowance, which is a very, very, very difficult payment to access unless there are severe needs for your child.
And
they are the only people being protected, and rightly so, but I also feel that each case should be taken on an individual rather than a one-size-fits-all cut across the board.
Well, absolutely, and that shows, if you like, the inhumanity of a system which refuses to deal with people on the basis of their individual needs as they meet them.
It's absolutely barbaric. I think it wasn't thought through. Already we have lobbied for, John Burton was cutting single-parent carers who are caring for adults. Like, say, for example, Fintan, if you were a single parent and you were minding your mother who was sick, and you also had a child that was nearing 8 years of age, John Burton was going to cut you from the lone parent, and these people were standing to lose €86 a week. She did reverse that. That was 800 families that were going to be affected, and we lobbied hard to get that reversed. To me, if somebody could even think about cutting people so vulnerable who cannot go out to work and fend for themselves, what chance do other people have?
Well, even let's take with the best will in the world and ignore the hard cases, as they're doing, and just pretend that everything is absolutely optimal. Even in an optimal situation, how is this supposed to work? Suppose you get a job being offered a 0 hours contract where you're on notice of maybe 4 or 5 hours in order to go into work. And how are you going to arrange for your child or children to be minded, looked after, cared for on this kind of short notice basis? And yet those kinds of contracts may be the only kinds of jobs that are on offer. It seems, as you say, completely ill thought out.
It was. Antonis just said that, it's to get people back to work, but the people who are losing the most here, Fintan, are working lone parents. It's working lone parents that are facing the biggest brunt of the cuts.
Yeah, I think that speaks for itself.
It really does. And I mean, the story, that I just outlined, there are hundreds and thousands of other parents in the same situation. And childcare was promised in 2012, and that was not delivered.
Even from a pragmatic point of view, and I'm trying to look at this from the perspective of some people who do feel, everybody should be out there, everybody should be working, and nobody should be sitting around, and surely if your child is 7 or older, you can be working. Have people noticed that there is actually a major recession on, that literally hundreds of thousands of people have had to emigrate, and that there is vast competition for this alleged fund of jobs that are out there, and all we're doing is taking mothers and throwing them into the mix of unavailability?
I completely agree with you, Fintan. I think it is utter madness. I don't see a recovery. Anybody I know, they're not seeing the recovery. And, I know so many people looking for jobs, and the jobs are not out there. Yes, there's plenty of job bridge courses, but that's not going to pay the bills.
Well, I'd like to see, the care and welfare and education and all the rest of it that a mother could provide to children even over the ages of 7, because I've noticed they do tend to keep on learning until about 40. So
it is. So it really is. It's damaging families. There's women, and predominantly women. So I see this as a gendered cut. It's predominantly 98% women are run single parent households, and 1 in 4 families are single parent households as well.
Yes.
And I think you need a sustainable job, not as I said, a job bridge scheme where you're trying to find a childcare. And childcare is the highest in Europe.
It is, and when you consider that as well, it does sound like it's time for people to mobilise to do something about that. That's presumably what you're at this Wednesday. What's the details on that place, Ruth?
Okay, Louise Bayliss of Spark has called the protest on Wednesday, the 10th of June at 3:30 p.m. outside the Dail, and we would really be, happy if people could join us for this protest. It's to highlight the savage cuts to lone parents. Enough is enough, so that's why we're going to be outside the Dail asking Antonis to please reverse these cuts that are going to have serious implications for working lone parents in particular.
Very good, and you can get more details at onefamily.ie for the One Family website, and also on Facebook. Just type in Spark, SPARK campaign.
Yes, in Spark, single parents for the right of their kids.
Absolutely. And it's good you're out there. Also on Twitter, you will find Ruth Cullen at Ruth Helena C on Twitter, and you'll also find Spark on Twitter too. The very best of luck with that, Ruth, and thank you very much for joining us on The Beautiful Truth.
And thanks for the interview.
You're very welcome. I hope you will support that protest action today, and that's it for this edition of The Beautiful Truth. I'll be back very soon with more. and I hope you can join me for that. But in the meantime, this has been Fintan Dunne reporting.